Picture this. You're not madly in love. With a cold man, you're neurobiologically hooked on the rare, unexpected warmth. That's intermittent reinforcement. When he's hot and cold, your brain releases dopamine most intensely at the unpredictable points, training you to wait for a text, a date, a touch like a lottery. This isn't personal weakness. It's the brain's learning mechanism. Layer in attachment patterns. If love once felt conditional, an aloof partner reactivates the old belief. I must earn it. Repeating stress-soothe cycles make you confuse relief with love. This video doesn't promote power games. Our goals are sober and clear. Decode the science behind addicted to uncertainty, dopamine, variable rewards, the anxious, avoidant trap. Spot the signals that you're chasing hope rather than a secure bond. Offer a simple practice frame to protect emotional safety. Define the relationship and contact cadence before deep intimacy. Use a 48, 70, 2-hour rule for hard conversations. Measure behavior, not promises. If you've asked, why do I go back when I know I should leave? The answer lives in biology plus attachment, not your worth. You are enough even when he's distant. Once you understand the mechanism, you'll loosen the grip of uncertainty and start choosing calm. If this resonates, subscribe, turn on notifications, and watch to the end to learn the core psychological principles and how to apply them in daily life. No manipulation, just respect for your boundaries and your nervous system. When coldness becomes a hook, what's happening isn't just attitude, it's a neuro-learning loop silently at work. He texts sparingly, replies late, is busy precisely when you need him, and gets intimate only when it suits him. Each rare warm moment lands as a variable reward, and your brain records a dopamine spike right at the unpredictable point. This uncertainty creates a prediction error. Because you can't forecast the reward, your nervous system shifts into vigilance, waiting, scanning, ruminating to maximize the chance of catching the next warm cue. The result is that your attention gets locked to him, not because he's richly loving, but because your neural map is being conditioned by a stochastic reward schedule. At this point, your mind says, leave, yet your body rings the bell. Heart jumps at notifications, stomach tightens at scene, sleep fragments under anticipatory anxiety. That isn't weakness. It's dopamine plus cortisol teaming up. Dopamine pulls you toward pursuit. Cortisol keeps you aroused until relief arrives. Each time he softens, relief floods in, and the brain writes another line of code. Endure gets soothed equals worthwhile, inadvertently laying another loop of trauma bonding. If you grew up with love is earned, this contingent self-worth whispers, work a bit harder. You start adjusting yourself to fit his rhythm. Replying faster so you don't miss the window, lowering needs so you don't burden him, agreeing to late meets so you don't pressure him. Under the attachment lens, his pattern likely reflects avoidance, using deactivating strategies, minimizing, rationalizing, maintaining ambiguity to dodge engulfment. When you approach, his nervous system's intimacy alarm pushes him back. When you withdraw, the alarm quiets and he inches forward. The anxious avoidant loop forms. You scan for cues, he manages distance. Both sides get something, you get hope. He gets control, yet the relationship doesn't get safety. Deeper still is object constancy, holding the felt sense of connection while apart. If he's low here, your absence is quickly muted in his brain, while your presence triggers intrusion alarms, fueling the push-pull cadence. On your side, protest behaviors may emerge. Extra texts, checking statuses, testing jealousy to draw attention. Tragically, these feed the variable schedule, because after each anxiety peak, a tiny sign of warmth brings relief, sealing the learning loop. The crucial move is a frame shift. His coldness doesn't define your worth. It often reflects his regulation strategy around closeness. Read it accurately, and you pivot from "I'm not enough" to "I need nervous system safety." Practically, the answer isn't getting colder to win. It's reducing uncertainty inside your system. Set phone windows to cut unconscious scanning. Label emotions by time, stamp, anxious, hopeful, deflated, to separate data from story. Map somatic cues, racing heart, held breath, tight gut, and extend your exhale to down, regulate arousal. As internal uncertainty drops, you gain the distance to notice patterns instead of chasing moments. From that calmer ground, observe. Is he shifting from ambiguity to consistency? Is there 48, 70, 2-hour repair dialogue instead of disappearing? Is there behavioral measurability, advance notice of unavailability, responses within agreed windows, rather than promises? If not, you don't need more proof of love. You already have proof of pattern. And it's the pattern, not the occasional warmth, that forecasts your emotional future. Awakening here isn't hardening your heart. It's opening your eyes to see that love is a nervous system environment, one with predictable rhythms, feelings acknowledged, and a body that doesn't have to stand guard, waiting for a rare bell to ring. Continuing from our prior exploration of how coldness hooks your nervous system, we now delve deeply into the science behind the hot and cold addiction, equipping you with clear-eyed awareness to break free. First, intermittent reinforcement is far more than an academic concept. It's the bedrock of operant conditioning in every reward-driven behavior. When he alternates between warmth and distance, your brain releases a dopamine surge, not at the predictable reward, but precisely at the moment of uncertainty. Each delayed text, each randomly timed call becomes an opportunity for your brain to chase the next surprise reward, rather than weigh the risk of heartbreak. Rationally, you know, he doesn't deserve me, but your limbic system operates like a rat in a Skinner box, pressing the lever again and again for that occasional pellet. Building on that, trauma bonding emerges. The cycle of stress relief from his absence to his sudden warm gesture blurs the lines between anxiety relief and affection. Your nervous system learns that he both causes and soothes your distress. The more intense the distress, the sweeter the relief, creating a potent emotional link where pain and pleasure are inextricably entwined. Layer onto this the anxious avoidant loop of attachment theory. You, with an anxious attachment, seek closeness and reassurance. He, with an avoidant attachment, recoils at intimacy. Each time you draw near, his intimacy alarm triggers, and he withdraws. Each time you pull away, the alarm quiets, and he edges closer. This push-pull dance reinforces a false creed. I must try harder to earn his love, keeping you locked in a cycle of conditional approval. Deeper still is self-worth contingency, the leftover code from growing up believing love is earned by behaving well. If you internalize that love is conditional, an indifferent partner will unconsciously cue your old belief that you must constantly prove your worth. A compliment becomes both a balm and a burden, and its absence signals your danger of being unloved, fueling yet another loop of striving and stress. Especially for avoidant individuals, low object constancy means they struggle to maintain the felt sense of connection when physically apart. For them, absence translates into emotional shutdown, while your presence feels like a flood of unprocessed feelings. Though his aloofness says nothing about your intrinsic value, your brain interprets it as a measure of your worth. He's here, so I matter. And you wait feverishly for that next sign. Viewed through a secure lens, we recognize that lasting attraction does not arise from fostering insecurity. True magnetism is born of nervous system stability and clear boundaries. Any tactic designed to inject uncertainty is manipulation under the guise of mystery or challenge, ultimately undermining the essential feeling of safety that any healthy bond requires. Instead of chasing unpredictable rewards, shift the frame, limit compulsive phone checking, log emotions as data points, timestamp, trigger, anxiety level, and institute boundary practices, a 48-72-hour rule for tough conversations, clear relationship definitions before deep intimacy, and metrics that track behavior rather than promises. As you calm your nervous system, you gain the perspective to see what truly matters, patterns that need release versus people worthy of respect. Only from that place of inner quiet can a relationship flourish on the bedrock of security, rather than the shifting sands of dependence and uncertainty. Building on the mechanics of variable rewards in trauma bonding, we now expose common red flag fallacies that derail you from genuine connection. She's only attracted to high-value men divided by hypergamy. Hypergamy springs from ancient survival pressures. Women sought protectors and providers. But in our modern world, security isn't measured solely by broad shoulders. It's found in emotional regulation, consistency, and respect. Enduring attraction isn't about ranking human worth, it's the feeling you convey. I am safe to lean on, you are safe to open up. Many women leave not because you lack money or muscles, but because your kindness lacks a sturdy backbone. missing boundaries, absent initiative, and no leadership. Kindness without safety is a thin blanket over an abyss. They depart not for your shortcomings, but because they don't see you keeping promises to yourself. You must keep her uncertain to make her invest. Its true uncertainty sparks short-lived excitement, ups and downs. But that's not the thrill of respect and care. It's the buzz of a cat and mouse game. Securely attached adults don't crave lack reward. They choose clarity, respect. Real safety grows from being on time, keeping promises, and talking through conflicts instead of withholding communication. If you manufacture uncertainty to hook her investment, you're merely manipulating her nervous system, leaving her fatigued and distrustful. And once trust tires, no amount of calculated unpredictability will inspire genuine investment. Just act cold to raise your value. Stoicism may sound like independence, but coldness is actually a deactivating strategy, an avoidance technique to keep intimacy at bay. It's not an attractive trait, it's a shield. True stillness, calm authority, differs entirely from indifference. Calm authority means standing firm in your boundaries with composure, ready to engage when needed, open yet unwavering. Indifference, by contrast, replies, "I'm fine," while blocking any emotional exchange. When you choose coldness to boost value, you turn the relationship into a battlefield rather than a fertile ground for mutual growth. Secure individuals dare to voice needs while retaining the freedom to walk away if boundaries are violated. Having dismantled these red flag misconceptions, the next step is to build green flags, positive signals that someone is creating a neurobiologically safe environment. But first, reinforce the belief that sustainable attraction doesn't spring from uncertainty or power plays. It arises from stability, respect, and authentic presence. Understanding these red flags and choosing not to reenact them paves the way for a relationship to become a place where you can be at ease, instead of climbing an emotional roller coaster. Building on our prior dive into the science behind the hot and cold addiction, it's time to mirror ourselves against the signs that reveal you're hooked on emptiness rather than secure love. First, you wait for rare cues instead of receiving daily consistency. A weekly "I miss you" message becomes a treasure, marking the thin line between hope and despair, while regular calls, morning texts, and scheduled dates form the foundation of safety. If you find yourself counting every heartbeat between texts, that's your cue variable. Rewards have eclipsed your need for steady connection. Next, your entire schedule pivots around his gaps. You rearrange work, cancel plans, and morph your personal calendar just to catch his reply or not miss a meeting. Life no longer flows on its own rhythm. It's tethered to his "he's busy" and "he replied," transforming you from an autonomous actor into a perpetual waiter, a state of disquiet for a brain craving stability. On top of that, you often defend him to friends. "He's really busy. He must be exhausted. He's just not expressive." Every time you excuse his absence or ambiguity, you unknowingly sanctify his avoidance strategies and murkiness. You don't just shield him out of affection, you shield your own reward loop. Further, each time his silence thaws and you feel relief, that momentary drop in cortisol, your chest unclenching, that is a biochemical release, not enduring security. Safety feels like consistent calm all day, not fleeting dopamine spikes. If you live for those ephemeral highs, you're conflating a chemical rush with genuine love. Finally, you fear losing him more than you fear losing your boundaries. The dread of his disappearance sends you into panic, outweighing any concern for your dignity or well-being. When you catch yourself accepting unfair behavior, pardoning his unjust absences, or restoring crossed boundaries for a fragile hope, you're investing in insecurity rather than protecting yourself. Seen together waiting for scarce signals, scheduling life around his voids, rationalizing his ambiguous conduct, savoring relief after silence, and fearing the loss of those triggers more than your own limits, these 5 signs meld into a pattern of addiction to uncertainty, not a blueprint for lasting love. To shift, the first step is recognition. Whenever your heart races waiting for a text, whenever you cancel your plans for him, whenever you rationalize or defend his behavior to others, whenever you compulsively check your chat, and whenever you lie awake fearing his loss, pause, breathe deeply, and remind yourself, this isn't love, it's a conditioned response. Once you reframe it as, "I'm being pulled," You can create the distance needed to step out of the loop and reclaim your own rhythm, a rhythm where love is built upon stability, respect, and nervous system safety. Building on your awareness of addiction to uncertainty, let's turn our attention to the flip side, the signs of a safe man, the one who creates emotional security rather than trapping you in a cycle of hope and despair. First, consistency serves as the guiding compass. Instead of bursting with affection and then freezing you out like a faulty flashlight, he maintains a steady rhythm, morning greetings, evening check-ins, and even if work gets hectic, he never vanishes completely. Rather than waking up wondering if it will be a warm or cold day, you can count on a simple hello at dawn and a good night wish before bed. This predictability isn't boring. It provides the launchpad for genuine intimacy, free from the fear of emotional drought. When conflict arises, he does not retreat into silence or hide behind vague apologies. He names your feelings, acknowledges the impact of his actions, and proposes specific behavior for repair. For example, instead of a rote, "Sorry I was busy," he might say, "I know canceling last night's date at the last minute left you frustrated and hurt. I'd like to make it up by rescheduling for Friday, and moving forward I will notify you at least 24 hours in advance if I have to change plans." These words heal because they hit all three pillars: admission of wrongdoing, recognition of how you felt, and a clear path toward change. Moreover, a safe man proactively schedules important moments, whether it's a date, a tough conversation, or simply time together while still honoring your boundaries. Never pressuring you for an immediate yes, always flexible to your needs and timing. If you need space or you're swamped this week, he'll say, "I understand you need room, shall we move our plans to next week?" rather than guilt-tripping you or making you feel selfish. Perhaps subtler but equally vital is his curiosity about your inner world. He asks thoughtful, open-ended questions and truly absorbs your answers instead of skimming the surface. When you share daily worries or hidden anxieties, he doesn't hide behind past grievances. He doesn't deflect with, "I was hurt once too, you know," to excuse late replies instead. He keeps the dialogue firmly in the present, asking, "How did that make you feel?" and then waits patiently while you unburden yourself. He never resurrects old stories to avoid current responsibility. He meets you where you are. Finally, a safe man offers a structured apology, not just a quick, "I'm sorry," but a three-step repair-specific acknowledgement. "I'm sorry for snapping at you last night." Repair plan. "I will pause and take a breath before reacting so I don't hurt you again." And verification checkpoint. "Let's check in this weekend to see how I'm doing. If it's not working, I'll find another solution." When an apology covers all three, you know you're dealing with genuine accountability, not a superficial performance. Taken together, these signs weave an emotional safety net. Each element: consistency, naming, acknowledging, repairing, proactive scheduling with boundary respect, genuine curiosity without deflecting to the past, and fully formed apologies acts like solid building blocks beneath your feet. A man who embodies this entire sequence does not make you addicted to uncertainty. He gives you calm. And in that calm, you discover that true love is not a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, but a partnership built on trust, shared experience, and heartfelt sincerity. As we conclude this journey, I hope you now understand. Safety isn't the absence of challenge, but the presence of consistency, respect, and responsibility from both partners. When you choose someone who embodies the signs of a safe man, steadfast day by day, naming emotions then offering solutions, proactively scheduling while honoring your boundaries, being curious about your inner world without escaping the present, and apologizing with structure, you not only give love, you also receive the space you need to thrive. Remember, you deserve a relationship that doesn't trap you in addiction to uncertainty, but brings peace to your heart and trust to your soul. Every boundary you set is a shield protecting your worth. Every sign of a safe man you look for measures the future you aim for. So step forward with confidence. True love doesn't cost you yourself. It elevates you to the best version of yourself.